We're calling this meeting to order. I note that some of the participants are participating via video conference. Today's public meeting is also being live streamed from the Port Authority website. We will now hold the public committee meeting, starting with the Committee on Finance, which will be chaired by Commissioner Cohen. That'll be followed by a meeting on the Committee of Capital Planning, Execution, and Asset Management, which will be chaired by the Vice Chair Linford, and we'll conclude the public portion of today's meeting with a public board meeting. Commissioner Cohen.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Today's meeting of the Committee on Finance is being held in public session in its entirety. The committee met in executive session earlier today to discuss matters involving ongoing negotiations or reviews of contracts or proposals. At this point, I ask the Secretary to advise those present of the composition of the Committee on Finance and any commissioner recusals on the matter before the committee at today's meeting.
Thank you.
The Committee on Finance is composed of Commissioner Cohen, the committee chair, Commissioner McCabe, the committee vice chair, and Commissioners Kelly, LaBarbera, and Richardson. All commissioners are present. Also present today are Chairman O'Toole, Vice Chairman Linford, Commissioners Bolwage, Eve, Fisher, Helmy, and Rosado. There are no requests for action, therefore no recusals required.
Thank you very much. I call on our Director of Financial Services, Anna Carvajalino, to present the financial performance results for the first quarter of 2024. And I also note, is that a new podium we have?
Yes.
Yes.
Glad you noticed.
Well,
New carpeting.
new carpeting as well.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
welcome to you and to the new podium.
Thank you, Commissioner Cohen. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I will present the results for the first quarter of the year. I will open with the usual reminder that these unaudited condensed financial information as of and for the 3-month period ended March 31st, 2024 should be read in conjunction with the financial statements of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, its component units, and the accompanying notes and schedules for the year ended December 31st, 2023, which are available on the Port Authority website. Any information provided herein with respect to forward-looking statements represents the Port Authority current assessment based on the data it had available at the time this financial information was compiled. As such, these data may ultimately prove to be inaccurate or incomplete, especially when reviewed over a longer period of time. In addition, please note that these results were prepared in accordance with the Port Authority's bond resolution, which is the basis of reporting that we use to set our budget. This information, along with the unaudited condensed financial statements were prepared on the basis of generally accepted accounting principles, will be posted to our website within the next day. Overall, the Port Authority's first quarter financial results were strong. We achieved net operating revenues of $628 million during the first 3 months of 2024, a $31 million or 5% increase when compared to the same period in 2023. As compared to the 2024 budget, for the first 3 months of 2024, we achieved an NOR of $16 million or 3% higher than planned for the period. After factoring in other non-operating revenue items and non-cash market valuations on our investment portfolio, the authority's net revenue available for debt service totaled $873 million for the 3-month period, an improvement of $110 million as compared to the same period in 2023, and $69 million higher than the 2024 budget for that same period. These results are driven by a number of different factors, which I'll discuss in detail as we move through the presentation. So we start with activity. This is an overview of our year-to-date activity at our various facilities. To orient you to this slide and the next, the green line corresponds to the current 3-month period, and the yellow line is the 2023 results for the same period. These slides show you aviation on the left and tunnels and bridges on the right. Our airports continue to experience record volumes. Total aviation passenger volumes for the first quarter were 1.2 higher than 2023 levels for the same period, as more than 32 million passengers traveled through our 3 major airports. As compared to the 2024 budget, for the period, aviation activity was slightly higher than the plan by 0.7%. Moving to our bridges and tunnels, activity during the 3-month period was slightly under 2023 levels, with a total of 28.5 million vehicles at our crossings. Weather this quarter was not as severe as in prior years, but as compared to 2023, there was an uptick in winter-related storms, which led to the slight year-over-year decline in activity volumes, particularly as you can see in January. Total TBNT volumes are currently slightly higher than the 2024 budget at 0.5% for the 3-month period. On these slides, we are showing port activity as well as path on the right. Our ports continue to be one of the top 2 busiest container ports in the nation. Volume for the first 3 months of the year finished 11% higher as compared to the same period in 2023, and also 6% higher than budget. The robust cargo activity in the early part of the year came amid resilient consumer spending and restocking efforts by major retailers. Lastly, PATH, like other mass transit commuter systems in the region, continued to have a slower recovery of ridership since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. While PATH ridership for the first 3 months was 12% higher than the same period in 2023, ridership remains at 66% of pre-COVID 2019 activity levels, as indicated by the light blue line in the PATH chart. PATH ridership for the first 3 months of 2024 is 3% under budget. This slide shows the breakdown of gross operating revenues for the first 3 months of 2024 as compared to the same period in 2023 and also to the 2024 budget. Gross operating revenues for the quarter total more than 1.6 billion, which is an increase of 114 million or 8% higher year over year. As compared to 2024 budget, gross operating revenues for the first 3 months were 36 million or 2% higher than planned. The chart depicts the various components that make up our gross operating revenues. The strong year-over-year performance is primarily driven by higher fixed rentals, activity-based revenue, and cost recovery revenues at our airports. Rental revenues of 575 million are 8% higher year over year, and these revenues are primarily driven by increased activity at our airports, as well as new rents associated with the various redevelopment projects at Newark and JFK airports. Aviation fees of nearly 377 million are 14% higher than the same period in 2023. These fees primarily consist of cost recovery revenue we get from the airlines at our airports. The large year-over-year variance was mostly driven by the new agreements that went into effect in January of 2024. Compared to 2024 budget, revenues are in line with or exceeding plan in every category for the 3-month period. Moving on to operating expenses, for the first 3 months of 2024, they were 985 million, which represents an increase of 83 million or 9% year over year. Most of this spending supports the higher activity volumes across our agency facilities. There are a few variances that I want to mention. Employee compensation, which includes benefits, saw a large increase of nearly 30 million or 7% year over year. That was primarily due to post-COVID filling of headcount vacancies that had been vacated due to retirements or attrition. The variance is also driven by higher healthcare and retirement benefits costs when compared to the first quarter of 2023. Contract services increased by approximately 40 million or 16% year over year. This variance was mostly driven by required expenses related to increased airport activity levels, weather-related expenses, and heightened security and cybersecurity measures. Moving on to our cash flow and liquidity position, cash from operations for the first 3 months of 2024 was $594 million, which reflects a $63 million or 10% decrease as compared to the same period in 2023. This decrease was primarily driven by the timing differences related to a $159 million payment of the Port Authority's annual pension contribution for the Nisler system. Cash and investment as of March 31st totaled $5.4 billion, which is essentially flat to year-end 2023. In addition to cash and investments, as of March 31st, the Port Authority had approximately 204 of capacity to support the capital construction program, consisting of funds currently in the capital fund and available bank revolver capacity. When excluding the General Reserve Fund and capital funds, cash and investments as of March 31st represented 270 days of cash in hand. Finally, bonds and other financial obligations as of March 31st totaled $28.1 billion, which was slightly lower than our outstanding debt balance as year-end 2023. That concludes my remarks. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
I want to know the panel competition pricing.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the commissioners? Hearing none, thank you, Anna. And this concludes today's meeting of the Committee on Finance. And I turn it back to our chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Cohen. The next meeting is the Committee on Capital Planning, Execution, and Asset Management, which will be chaired by Vice Chair Jeff Linford. Vice Chair?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today's meeting of the Committee on Capital Planning, Execution, and Asset Management is being held in public session. The committee met earlier today in executive session to discuss matters related to ongoing negotiations or reviews of contracts or proposals. At this point, I ask the Secretary to advise those present of the composition of the committee and any commissioner recusals on the matter before the committee.
The committee is composed of Vice Chairman Linford, the committee chair, Chairman O'Toole, the committee vice chair, Commissioners Helmy, LaBarbera, and Rosado. Also present today are Commissioners Bolwage, Cohen, Eve, Fisher, Kelly, McCabe, and Richardson. There are no requests for actions, no recusals required.
Thank you. I will now call on our Chief Development Officer, Derek Utter, to present the capital performance results for the first quarter of 2024. Derek, good to see you.
Great. Thank you, Vice Chairman, and good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm here to report the first quarter capital plan results. Spending, as you see on the slide, was $559 million, which is up from the first quarter of 2023, quite substantially, but even so, it was spending only about 80% of our budgeted amount for the first quarter. We also hit 93% of our planned schedule milestones for the first quarter, and I'll go into both of those in a little more detail. So if you look at our spending, we often track spending to ensure that the machine of the Port Authority is driving our projects forward. This quarter we spent, as I said, 81%. If you look at the history of the last several years, we have typically spent below our total budgeted amount, but we target trying to get to at least 90% of our budgeted amount. The last couple of years have been a little bit lower than that. The first quarter, really a large underspending, was driven primarily by the initial gradual startup of two big projects. One is at the JFK Airport, the Roads, Utilities, and Ground Transportation Center, which is the core of the Port Authority work in the Central Terminal area. We have let a contract last year, and we're in the process of ramping up significantly. If you go to the airport, you will see a tremendous amount of construction going on the roads, and that's the evidence of that project really starting to move forward in earnest. The second is the Midtown Bus Terminal. As we work through the final phases of the environmental study, we anticipate that spending of that will continue to ramp up and will go into construction shortly. In terms of on-time results, this is more of a metric that weights our smaller projects because it measures both the end of the pre-construction period, we call contract award, and then the construction period. So every project has two milestones. Because smaller projects get weighted equally as larger projects, they tend to influence this statistic more. We hit 14 of our 15 planned milestones on or ahead of target in the first quarter. We also achieved 12 milestones that were planned later in the year early, which is great. You'll see that our performance last year was a little bit lower than we'd like to achieve, and we really spent the beginning part of this year dissecting the problems that we had in achieving our scheduled milestones. You'll see evidence of the improvement in the first quarter. We expect that we're going to try to keep it at that level through a lot of process improvements and focuses on some of the areas where we had the shortfalls last year. Lastly, just to give you a sense of some of the projects that were delivered, contract awards, again, the first milestone, several smaller projects, as you see listed on this list, most in the category of state of good repair. Projects that are completed, we call the put into beneficial use. That's the end of construction, and I'll note one at the top, the Path Harrison Station, the Southwest Head House. This was a critical step where we opened on February 21st. This new part of the Harrison Station Head House, it is accessible. It was built with resilience in mind above the floodplain and has on-site water retention tubs, pools, tanks, and it has public plaza and seating. It has 82 new bikes parking spots, and it was really necessary because it replaced an 88-year-old structure. So very proud of that opening, and you'll see some of the other projects that went to beneficial use as well listed on the page. So that concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Hearing none, this concludes today's meeting of the Committee on Capital Planning, Execution, and Asset Management. And back to our chairman.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Good afternoon. The board meeting of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey and its component units is now being called to order. Today's in-person meeting is also being held virtually via video conference with the proceedings live streamed from the Port Authority website. Earlier today, the Committee on Finance and Committee on Capital Planning, Execution, Asset Management met in public and executive session. The Committee on Operations met in executive as well. The reports will be filed with the original minutes of today's board meeting. The Commissioners also met in executive earlier today to discuss matters related to security or public safety, matters related to the purchase, sale, or lease or real property, where disclosure would affect the value thereof or the public interest, matters involving personnel or personnel procedures, or matters involving ongoing negotiations or reviews of contracts or proposals. We begin today's April meeting on a little bit of a down and a somber note. We, the Port Authority family, have lost 3 of our employees. We take note, we lost Melanie Rodriguez, who was an executive secretary in the Office of the Chief of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, who had spent 5.5 years of service with us. We also lost Sean Gibbons, a path engineer who spent 26 years of service with this agency. And we also saw Sam Buchra, a contract security guard at Path for over 20 years pass. I ask for everybody for a moment of silence. If we could stand for a moment of silence for these 3. Thank you. And we'll keep them in our thoughts, and their families and their friends and their coworkers. Our hearts go out to you. Another moment, we lost, on the Jersey side, we lost a valiant public service who's been a public servant for many, many years, Congressman Don Payne Jr., who comes from a great tradition of public service, served in Congress on District 10 for 6 terms, 12 years. Prior to that, he was a Newark City Council member. He was the Newark City Council president. He was also Essex County freeholder, which is now Essex County County Commission. His dad served for 24 years in Congress. His entire family, Bill Payne, who I served in the Assembly with, they just are amazing public servants. Congressman Payne Jr. has been sick for a bit and finally succumbed to a heart attack and passed away, sadly. And he has left behind an amazing legacy. We here at the Port Authority, Rick and I spent a lot of time with Don Payne Jr. and his staff working on many initiatives. If we can just have a moment of silence for Don Payne Jr., and our hearts go out to his family and his close friends. Thank you. Our next point of order is to hear from our executive director regarding his monthly report. Rick?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to connect three dots in the course of my report, all really in the service of saying that the agency is performing at, I would say, an extraordinary level of delivering on its commitments and its promises. I want to come to the substance in the area of finance, capital projects, which we're going to talk more about, Mr. Chairman, and sustainability. Before I turn to the substance, as one talks about the achievements of the agency, one just has to pause and say thank you to the entire staff, the employees of the agency. They are the ones who deliver. We can point to their achievements, but they are the ones who deliver. And also take note of the fact that 2/3 of the employees of the Port Authority are union represented employees, and I thank the leaders of those unions for the support that they provide in terms of the agency's achievements. The dots I want to connect are first, the first quarter financial results that you just heard. For the first quarter, the agency performed significantly above the first quarter of last year. It performed significantly above the budget that we had set, and it is that financial performance that underlays the efforts and the ability of the agency to deliver. So my hat in that respect is off to everyone across the agency who delivers on our responsibility, delivers on operations, delivers across the board in order for the agency to be able to deliver the strong financial performance that you just heard about. The second dot I want to connect with respect to capital projects. You're going to hear more, deservedly, about the two awards that Terminal A at Newark won recently. But that was really, it is extraordinary, and I want to emphasize to people as you listen to the story about the awards that were given to Terminal 1. They were given two awards. They were given an award as Best New Terminal in the World based on polling done by Skytrax, preeminent airport evaluation agency. They were also given a 5-star rating, which is really one of the scarcest high top honors that airports can win. So there are two, and it's really important to think about that, not just one, but two independent Best New Airport Terminal in the World, but also the 5-star rating. Now, the other dot I want to connect is that those two awards were also won by Terminal B at LaGuardia last year. And the notion that two of our airports, year after year, won these extraordinary recognition in terms of our commitment to deliver world-class capital projects and also operate them at world-class levels, it is extraordinary. And my hat is off again. These were aviation projects, but that is the agency's commitment in terms of quality of capital projects and quality of operational delivery. So extraordinary, in my judgment, financial performance, extraordinary delivery in terms of world-class projects. And the third dot I want to connect is yesterday we held a groundbreaking at JFK. It celebrated the start of construction on New York State's largest on-site solar generating and storage system, located at the long-term parking lot there. But this solar project, largest of its kind in New York State, is delivering, not promising, but delivering on the commitment of the agency to sustainability. It will deliver 12 megawatts of on-site solar generation, and that will, with battery storage, in order to be able to deliver it on a consistent basis. And half of it will be delivered to the airport, and half of it will be delivered to the community at low-cost energy prices, which also delivers on our commitment in terms of bringing benefits to the neighborhoods that surround our projects. So all areas the agency, we happen to be, I think, at a high point of delivering on our commitments. Finally, in terms of operational excellence, I would just report to you the operating volumes during the month of March. In the first quarter of 2024, passengers across our 3 airports were at the highest of any first quarter in the agency's history. In the month of March, highs were set at LaGuardia for total and domestic passengers, at Kennedy, a post-COVID high for international travelers, and at Newark, international travelers extraordinarily strong, coming in at 13% higher than March of last year. At the seaport, in March, the port handled more than 19% higher cargo than in pre-COVID March 2019 and is up 10% over the last month. The port maintained its status as the number 2 port in the country, and that starts to be a streak, which I can't tell you how many, but it is a big feather in the cap of the port to be operating at that level on a consistent basis. At our bridges and tunnels, the Port Authority's 4 bridges and 2 tunnels continue to show strong volumes in March, with levels at or exceeding pre-COVID March 2019. And at PATH ridership was at 2/3 of pre-COVID March 29 volumes, which is the level at which it has been operating for the past period of time. But this Monday, milestone, Sunday ridership actually exceeded 2019 levels by 4%, first time that has happened since the onset of the pandemic. So, very strong performance, Mr. Chairman, and on that note, I conclude my report.
So, Rick, when you're talking about the awards, the scarcity of the 5-star, the scarcity of the best new terminal, and so there's 4 awards in 2 years, essentially, is what the 2 facilities have received. If we received one of those of 4, we'd be ecstatic. We really would be. We received 4, and it's your leadership, Rick. It is the folks who we're looking at here at Aviation. It is all the folks who have poured their heart and soul into this, wonderful project of love. And we talk about JFK. The buzz now, Rick, like we have set the standard. JFK is getting these awards. You know that. It's going to happen. No pressure, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen. But it is with such pride that we hear this, and we're going to hear from Jim Heitman, and we're going to hear from Aviation to talk about the actual award. For years we have been, derided, and folks have made fun of some of our facilities. There is now an expectation of excellence. We have raised the ceiling. We've raised the bar. We don't accept mediocrity. Anything this Port Authority touches is going to be done state-of-the-art, and it's going to be excellent, and it's going to be an award winner, 100%. That is a standard. And that's a standard, Rick, that you, as the executive director, have set for us and the vision for the last 7 years. And that's where we need to go. With regard to your comment about number 2, the streak we had at the port, Beth Ann Rooney is dying to say how many months that we've occupied that spot. Beth Ann, how many months?
Well, I wish I had the exact number, but I know it's over a year.
Wow. Perfect. And with higher prospects, we're having more and more volume coming in. Extraordinary time.
So, Mr. Chairman, I can't resist saying over a year, the port, with modesty, has almost, for at least half that period of time, kept saying they're going to fall below number 2. And they haven't. They've held the standard. And Beth, congratulations to you and the port staff.
And to that, Beth, given the extraordinary circumstance with Baltimore, you and your staff have been remarkable, handling, adapting, working with the federal, working with the regional folks to pick up the pace and be there in the moment of need to make sure that commerce is uninterrupted. So fantastic job, and keep up the good work. Now we're going to pivot for a moment, and it's a time that we should just kind of step back, and we're going to see a brief video on the recent naming of New Jersey's Terminal A. Newark Elizabeth, Mr. Bulge.
Thank you.
All right. Liberty International Airport is the best new terminal in the world at Skytrax. After the video, we're going to call upon our Chief Operating Officer, Jim Heitman, and the Director of Airport Aviation, Jackie McCarthy, to introduce their team responsible. And after that, we're going to have some comments. And when they come up, we're going to have the Executive Director, Vice Chair. We're going to take a picture. And after that, I want all the commissioners to come up and have a picture with these two wonderful accolades. So let's go to the videotape.
Today is a celebration about a terminal, but it's really about the people behind this terminal. The people who conceptualized it, who took the idea of providing a world-class service in a world-class terminal and made it the new face of Newark Liberty. The people who executed it, who took that concept and turned it into a reality with their hard work and ingenuity. And we're especially proud that that was union labor that built this terminal.
You know, in 1928, the Plainfield Courier, September 12th, 1928, said that the Newark Airport will serve as a model for the rest of the world. As we picked up the shovels and did the ceremonial dig, we kind of had a moment. I said, what's it going to be like? Is it going to be real? Is it going to make the Port Authority proud? Is it going to make New Jersey proud? Thank you very much to our wonderful employees, our contractors, our laborers.
This is a great day. It's a great day for the region. It's a great day for New Jersey. It's a great day for Newark Liberty International Airport. It is a great day for the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. And it is because it celebrates what we are about collectively. We are about being the best. And this award, these awards that we're celebrating today, named Terminal A of Newark Liberty International Airport the best new airport terminal in not the Northeast, not west of the Mississippi, not in the United States, but in the world.
Traveled out of this airport with friends and family and others from the city of Elizabeth who approach me. They often say, Mayor, that terminal is so fantastic. When will Terminal B or Terminal C get improved and match the standards of Terminal A?
One of the reasons why I joined is because of the iconic infrastructure and being world leaders in so many different areas. And now we're back doing that again, and I'm really proud to be a part of this. I want to thank everybody for all the work that went through to get this gem constructed, and I really appreciate the fact that the passengers spoke and put us back on top. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
But it truly is special. Look, when things are graded on the scale of the world, you know it's a really big deal. And today is just that. It's the celebration of the success on a really big scale. Let's think of it this way. This summer in Paris, we're going to have the best athletes in the world come together. Well, that's what happened for this project, and we won the gold medal. And we won it twice.
And today is truly a reflection of show them Newark, show them Elizabeth, show them the Garden State, and of course, we would get the gold medal.
There are folks employed that will have a job and an opportunity in the future in large corporations, Kevin, because of the work you and Rick and your Port Authority team did.
The Skytrax 5-star, yes, you win it because you have a beautiful terminal, you run it very well. But I think the best new terminal in the world is based on the public, is based on the passengers. And this is really great, and I couldn't be more proud.
Skytrax is great. 5-star reviews are wonderful. But when your wife says, oh, it's great, we got Terminal A, that is by far the greatest endorsement you can possibly get.
We had to include that one. All right, so Jim Heitman, why don't you come up and take the microphone? And number one, so we go out to Germany, Frankfurt, right? And it's really cool. And we're walking around the exhibit and we're waiting for the ceremony. And who's the first person I run into? Huntley Lawrence. Oh, wow. I traveled 3,850 miles to find Huntley Lawrence. I go, what are you doing here? He goes, he had to be there. And to see him, Huntley, in the audience, I did feel badly, Jim, that we didn't put him on the stage with us after the fact, because Huntley has been a part of this as much as anybody else. But, Jim, talk about how we got here. Talk about the team. Let's talk about where we're at.
So, I mean, there's just so many people over the arc of this project, and I'm really glad to have, you know, not just aviation, but a cross-cutting portion of the team. I mean, really, every chiefdom that's in the Port Authority had something to do with it. Rick always talks about, you know, how it takes everyone, law, procurement, security. I mean, you just can't stop and exclude anybody in the Port Authority that to deliver a project of this magnitude. But we are really excited to have a small group of people who did the work. I kind of hate having them there because they can dispel the myth that I had anything to do with it. But so we want to bring them up to be acknowledged. We also have for you, we've had some commemorative challenge coins, not to give away the secret about what's in the gift that we're going to give to the board, but as a memory and just to acknowledge this moment. And I think we are going to deliver on that at JFK with the new terminals. And just a couple of additional comments about the Skytrax 5-star. Best in the world speaks for itself, but 5-star rated terminal, we now have the only 2 in North America. And we only, the 2 of 22 in the world. So, you know, both of these awards say a lot about what you all have accomplished, we all have accomplished, and with the leadership of Rick and the chairman and the board, really, as I said on the video, to be a part of this after 38 years, coming in, looking at the George Washington Bridge, the first World Trade Center, all of these iconic transportation facilities, and watching them, the new versions being built at LaGuardia, Gothel's Bridge, the new Midtown Bus Terminal. I mean, this is just the beginning, and we're really in the middle of a historic moment in the Port Authority's history. So I want to invite Jackie McCarthy, the new Director of Airport Redevelopment, who is on this journey to distribute these gifts to you. And I'd like to call up some of the group. I mean, I look around, we missed a lot of people, but I want to call up some of the people that really worked day in, day out. I mean, I watched these guys work 14-hour days, daily meetings to push this terminal across the finish line. So I want to call up Frank Radix, Chris Perez, Tommy Lemanowitz, Tim Pullen, Susan Warner-Dooley, Ed Peralta, Savario Leone, Jim Mernon, Bhumi Vala, Courtney Laidlaw, Tiffany Chan, Lenny Iacovello, I always screw that name up, Stephanie Dominguez, Bruno Signorelli, Karen Spinda, Sterling Dubasset, Bruno Signorelli, Jared Kraus, and Lillian. Can we have you up? She was also on this journey, and Amy Fisher, Rizwan. So, you know, it's just, again, such hard work through the various phases of the program, and really appreciate having the opportunity to bring up the crew and acknowledge the work that they did to achieve those 2 great awards. And
So
maybe
first-
we can have the 2 awards.
Yeah, we're going to bring the 2
brought in.
awards up, Ben, and the 2 easels, and we're going to have these folks face out. We're going to have a group photograph. And like I said, so if we could bring those down, maybe here, and if you folks can just come around, put your back to us. Vice Chair, Rick, you want to come down and join these folks? And then all the commissioners will come down right after the first photograph.
Amy, get in the picture.
Are you ready, folks?
Charles. Sorry. I missed Charles. We have to bring up Charles Everett.
right.
Wait, what are you in?
Are we good? Yes. I'm going to feel or not? Make sure Andy Fisher's on. Such a camera shot. Good.
Sorry, I don't see the gentleman in the back right here. And one last one, I think right behind you. Right there. Yes.
I don't bite.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah. All right, 3, 2, 1. One more.
One more, takes 3.
Sorry. Last one. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate it, folks. Thank you very much. Vice Chair, Executive Director. Jim Eichner. Hi, folks.
Okay. And 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Right. Awesome. So let me just say to the employees, I mean, you represent all 8,000 of us here. So while we thank you in your individual efforts, and obviously this has been really a campaign of love and dedication from all of us. And you folks here today represent everybody. So we say thank you. And we also say, when we say thank you to you, we say thank you to everyone who's been here today, yesterday, and when this thing was conceived back on a capital plan, and when we were digging the dirt on October 18th, I think, of 18. It's been a long road, but this is the standard we have, and on to better things. JFK, 2 years, Rick, we got it?
Can I just say something, Mr. Chair?
Vice Chair, floor is yours.
You are an extraordinary leader, and I'm glad you're here to lead us to the victories in Newark and JFK. And I think everybody should give a round of applause to our chairman.
Thank you very much. We're now going to move ahead to the public portion, where the public can speak on Port Authority matters. This public comment period, which may be limited to 30 minutes in total, provides an opportunity for members of the public to present their views directly to the board, but does not really invoke or involve a dialogue. Members of the public wish to discuss specific matters, please contact our staff here, and we'll put you in contact with the appropriate Public Affairs Department. Speakers asked to comply with a fixed time of 3 minutes. Our first speaker is Donna Hampton. Donna.
Good afternoon, members of the Port Authority Board. It's a pleasure to see you again. My name is Donna Hampton. I'm a proud 32 BJA member and a security officer at JFK Airport. I'm sure you all remember that wonderful day in 2018 when we celebrated your passage of a wage standard for airport workers. I certainly remember that day. More importantly, I remember the enormous difference the wage standard made for me and my coworkers. For the first time in many years I worked at the airport, I could keep up with my bills. I can also recall the Healthy Terminals Act passed in New York in 2020. providing New York workers with a fixed rate for health care. The victory meant I could go to the doctor or specialist without worrying about draining my savings account. But today, I am here because airport workers need the Port Authority to lead once more. You know more than anyone the role workers like me play in keeping the millions of passengers who pass through JFK safe. That is a huge responsibility and one I take very seriously. But I always say at the airport, no one has just one job. So while I'm making sure passengers are safe, I'm also helping guide them to the correct terminal, answering questions, and generally making sure that JFK runs as smoothly as possible. And I do this with a smile. I take a lot of pride in my work because I know my union brothers and sisters and I are the backbone of the biggest transit hub in the world. We are essential workers, and we did not need the pandemic to realize that. But we do need a wage that reflects that. And because of the incredible day back in 2018, I know firsthand the power impact of the board. I know your leadership will continue this year by increasing the port minimum with a new multi-year standard and guarantee for health insurance, vacation, holiday standards between New York and New Jersey. An investment in airport workers means an investment and contribution, ultimately more stable, experienced workplace. That also means safer airports, better quality service for travelers, world-class airports.
Thanks, Donna. Jason Anthony?
Good afternoon, every single board member. I want your attention, please. It's very important since there have been a couple of months in hiatus. As you guys know, the Metropolitan Transportation Authority passed congestion pricing. We want to know what is your position on it. Since that you guys are a by-state agency, you guys will be impacted as well. Since that you guys run bridges in our tunnels that run between New York and New Jersey and run the path. This new toll will be implemented as soon as mid-June. Here's the thing. We want less cars using the DWB, the Abraham Lincoln Tunnel, the Holland Tunnel, but at the same time, we want more passengers to use the path. But here's a piece of bad news for you guys. The MTV announced as early as yesterday that they will be celebrating their Video Music Awards at the UBS Arena in Long Island instead of the Prudential Center at Newark. So what does that mean? It will be a loss for you guys and New Jersey Transit. It will be a win for Long Island Railroad. So, Libby McCarthy and your new Chief Financial Officer needs to be transparent while disclosing financial data and zero disclaimers, and needs to coordinate with MTA's Chief Financial Officer, Kevin Williams, while disclosing the media. My question is, why JFK Airport ranks last? As a JFK Airport user myself, I flight to Puerto Rico and Orlando. I don't need to pay $8.50 to use the AirTrain. Airports like Phoenix, they have their AirTrain absolutely free. We know that you guys are going to consider another so-called increase in January. We don't need another one. I've been seeing a lot of homeless people at the Abraham Lincoln bus terminal. You guys need to coordinate with the Bowery Residents Committee because I've been seeing a lot of homeless people in that terminal. And as recently as this past Monday, a person got stabbed in that terminal by a person from California. We need more signage at Jamaica AirTrain Station, and the traffic at LaGuardia Airport needs to end. And that's why I don't use LaGuardia Airport, because of the traffic. That's all I have to say, folks. I'll see you guys next month.
Thank you, Jason. Christopher.
Good afternoon. I'm Christopher D. Grive. As an advocate for over 30 years, yes, I do agree with the last person who spoke. As we enter Jamaica, going into the Port Authority, if we want to use the AirTrain, we need to work together to help the homeless. I know, yes, they have mental health issues, but at the same time, the safety for our customers who want to go from the Long Island Railroad or to the AirTrain or to the E or J trains or the rush hour Z train, we do need to make sure that the homeless are not blocking access, including blocking the elevators that go down to the street level or going to a public bathroom. We need to make it very clear that safety to any customers must go through, and that's including a walker, a wheelchair, need complete access. Especially, we need to be more safety. I agree what he also said about the fare of $8.50. Not everyone can afford it. I know, yes, there are other people could, but not the low-income family. One other thing we definitely need to work together is, and I'll say this every time, as the PATH train is the only train from Newark to New Jersey, does not accept people with disabilities reduced fare. I can get on the subway with a reduced fare. Long Island Railroad, Metro North, and fortunately, Jersey Transit. And when I say unfortunately, because Jersey Transit does have the reduced fare price. We need to work together to get the PATH train have a reduced fare price. Yes, for seniors, I'm glad, but people with disabilities and the veterans with disabilities as well. We need to continue working on that this year because there is no way that we have the elevators, you have ramps, but a reduced fare price for disability must be much easier. As MTA is already working on their Omni reduced fare, not just the reduced fare, but the Access-a-Ride, as Debbie and Ann, who are right over there, I can vouch, do have the test cards. But how can we use that card if you're using the same company, but we can't use that card on the PATH? We know we can use it on the AirTrain, but not on the PATH. We need to work on even signages and more update LD lighting. As you know, MTA is working on that, but we need to continue working that as well. And we really need to work on the homeless level in all parts of the train on the Port Authority areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Deborah.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I'm Deborah Greif. I want to first congratulate you. I'm very happy about the awards for both airports, and I know part of it is because you made sure it's more accessible. And also you have the quiet room for families who have children in the autistic spectrum. As the chairperson in Brooklyn for the Family Support Advisory Council helps families with children with developmental disabilities, that's a very important thing. And I hope it's at LaGuardia, but I also hope it's at more than one terminal for Kennedy, because Kennedy is even bigger. And please remember, I did ask, and I'm hoping that you have it at LaGuardia, have it also for Kennedy. More Access-a-Ride stops. Make it easier for when, and yes, my cousin Ann and I are the testers. Now, for the Omni, for Access-a-Ride, which means this. Instead of me handing $2.90 to the driver, what we do is we book We tell them, and they know because they see our name and our ID, the minute we leave the vehicle, the driver pushes the button and it's deducted from our card. So that makes it a lot easier and safer, not just for us, but for the driver. Now I don't have to worry because you never know if someone tries to rob the drivers. And that's, to me, a big concern. Now I want to bring up, in reference to some of the issues my son, I'm going to bring something up about with the homeless. I am concerned for this reason. Many of them, I can tell, are disabled vets. They need the help and service. I'm also concerned because the air quality there has been compromised because I don't know if they have any contagious disease. Not because I'm scared for me. I'm concerned for your staff that works there. It's not fair to them. What I'm asking is work in partnership. I'm not saying Port Authority do it all by yourself. No. That's not right. I would like you to form a partnership with the New York City MTA, New York City Police Department, so the police from the Port Authority, the MTA police, as well as New York City Police. You work together with the homeless services, social services, so that it's a team effort. Because it is very dangerous when one of them starts to act up, and then people who are trying to, when they leave the air train, they can't. Why? Because they don't know which way to go, and it's very dangerous. And I'm concerned for your staff that can be hurt seriously. So I'm asking, please, work as a partner. Don't do this on your own. I'm not saying that. And it would be a big help. And in reference with, I'm very glad you're fixing the Port Authority, but please make it better lighted, because when we have to go to the elevators, it's very dark and I'm very nervous because I check the elevators because that's one of the only ramped stations in New York City. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah.
I'm sorry, I'm just staying up here because Ann can't hold the paper.
Ann, come on up.
I'm not talking, just holding it for her. Watch your feet.
Ann Menino.
Hey, here you go. I got a few.
Good afternoon. My name is Ann Menino. Please, can you do something to help the homeless people at the air train station? Thank you very much. In Jamaica. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Deborah, I'm glad you brought up the sensory room. We talked about it in executive, and we wanted to bring it up. So when we were at the awards, folks from other airports were actually asking Jim Heitman and others about what is it about the sensory room? How'd you think about it? How did it come about? Port Authority employees, Vice Chair and his wife lent a lot of time and effort to really make sure that room is a really special point at Terminal. It should be before security, after security, and we're hoping it's not just one, as you say.
Yes.
It should be at all the terminals, and that's the goal down the road.
Please, I just want to add this, as chairperson in Brooklyn, and also I do represent Brooklyn for the statewide, we're very happy that you did this. It is very great for us as a parent. All we're asking is we want to work together, so please, I can only talk for OPW for New York State. We will work with you.
Appreciate
I
it.
believe Jersey will, but I can only talk for New York State, but we will. Thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you. Jacqueline Geely, did I get that right? Sorry about that.
Good afternoon, Board of Commissioners of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. I'm a member of Unite Here, Local 100, the food service, beverage, and retailers worker in New York and New Jersey. My name is Jacqueline Guiti, and I work at the OTG Airport for 6 years. I would like to say thank you for your leadership. And remember the wage increase in 2018. I can also recall when the Healthy Terminals Act passed in 2020. Unfortunately, my brothers and sisters, concession workers from New York Airport, were not included. Today, I am here because airport workers need the Port Authority to lead once more. I would like you to know that the work the airport workers do is hard. It is not glorious, but we do it because we need to sustain ourselves and our families. As you may know, it is hard for me and my coworkers to survive with only $19 per hour. Groceries, rent, childcare, and other basic needs are going up. Each morning I wake up, I think about my responsibility to serve the customers and guarantee a higher standard of service for each single passenger. I really love working at the airport, and I'm making every passenger's experience unforgettable. My brothers and sisters know that the Port Authority has been a true leader in investing in the workforce at the airports, and I know your leadership will continue this year by increasing the port minimum wage with a new multi-year standard and a guaranteed parity in the health insurance, vacation and holiday standards between New York and New Jersey, and including JFK and LaGuardia concession workers. It is time for the Port Authority to raise the standards for all airport workers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Brandon?
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Board of Commissioners, Authority of New York and New Jersey. I am a member of Unite Here Local 100, the food service, beverage, and retailers workers in New York and New Jersey. My name is Brandon Burston, and I work at OTG in LaGuardia for 7 years. A few years ago, to be exact, in 2018, we celebrated a huge victory for the airport workers, and we here today to say once again, thank you so much for raising the minimum wage to $19 for the airport workers. I also recall when the Healthy Terminals Act passed in New York in 2020. Unfortunately, as a concessions worker, I and my coworkers were not covered by the act. We went through the pandemic and survived it. It is 2024. We all know how tough it is to survive with only $19 per hour. Groceries, rent, childcare, and other basic needs are going up and up every day. I personally take pride in being an airport worker who serves our customers with respect and always keeping in mind my responsibilities to guarantee a higher standard of service for each single passenger. My brothers and sisters know that the Port Authority has been a true leader in investing in the workforce at airports. And I know your leadership will continue this year by increasing port minimum wage with a new multi-year standard and guaranteed parity in the health insurance, vacation, and holiday standards between New York and New Jersey, and including JFK and LaGuardia concession workers. It's time for Port Authority to raise the standards for all airport workers. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate it. All right, James, we have one video.
That's correct.
Can we play the video, please?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Matty W. Bucky's Highland. Happy Autism Awareness Month. As you can see on my shirt, I went to General Douglas MacArthur High School in Levittown, New York, where we celebrated Autism Awareness Month every April. To Chairman Kevin J. O'Toole, Vice Chairman Jeffrey H. Linford, and to Executive Director Rick Cotton, from the millions around the world who are dealing with autism, we want to thank you for giving us a world and facilities where we are accepted and understood for who we are. Thank you, and God bless each and every one of you. Mr. O'Toole, over to you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And any other videos or statements, Jim?
No.
Vice Chair, you want to explain why we're wearing these lanyards, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That's a great segue.
Great segue. Each commissioner is wearing a sunflower lanyard to signify what Terminal A has been able to do for the Port Authority, where we have a sensory room for autistics and other people who are challenged to get through both the TSA and environment they may or may not be accepting. So I want to thank my colleagues, and that's what our lanyards are for, and that's what they signify. And you can see the sunflowers here to cheer up your day. Thank you.
And the staff are trained, when they see someone wearing a lanyard, they know that there's perhaps some special care or time should be given to that individual.
Some patience and care.
Yep.
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. We're now going to proceed with the voting of some items. Each of the respective committee chairs will provide a brief report prior to each of the matters being considered. I'd like to hear from Vice Chair Linford, please, on his Committee on Capital Planning, Execution, and Asset Management.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Chair of the Committee on Capital Planning, Execution, and Asset Management, I will now report on an item under the committee's purview. The item authorizes an additional expenditure of approximately $2.5 million to complete 2 projects to replace and upgrade PATH substations number 7 and 9. The substations provide power necessary to operate PATH trains between Journal Square and Newark Penn Station. The projects are 90% recoverable through Federal Transit Administration grants. Prior to making a motion on this item, I ask the Corporate Secretary to note any commissioner recusals.
There are no recusals.
Thank you. Does any commissioner have questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, I now request a motion on
So
this.
moved.
Second, please. I have it. Thank you. I request the Corporate Secretary to call the roll for voting on the item.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bolwage?
Yes.
Commissioner Cohen?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher?
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado?
Yes.
As the votes are in order, this item is approved. Back to the chairman.
Thank you very much. Now ask Commissioner Cohen to provide his report as Chair of the Committee on Finance.
Thank you very much. As Chair of the Committee on Finance, I am recommending that the committee consider an item that authorizes the purchase of property damage and loss of revenue insurance for Port Authority assets for a one-year term. The coverage is placed under two separate programs, one covering Port Authority assets at the World Trade Center site, and the second covering all other agency facilities. This is a vote of the Committee on Finance only. Before making a motion on this item, I ask the Corporate Secretary to note any commissioner recusals on this matter.
There are no recusals.
Do commissioners have any questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, I now request a motion on this item.
So moved.
Can I have a second on the motion?
Second.
I now request the Corporate Secretary to call the roll for voting on this item.
Commissioner Cohen?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
The votes are in order. The item is approved, and I return it to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Cohen. There being no further business, I move to adjourn. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
See everybody next month.
We will get started with our Q&A with Colleen Wilson with the record.
Thank you. So I'm writing on the Terminal A awards, but I did get a concerning phone call from Senator O'Scanlan, who said there is no pork roll available at the facility, and he wanted an explanation on that.
Number one, we don't recognize the word pork roll. Just so we know, okay? So for those that don't know, Taylor ham was made like in Trenton, like in 1850 something or other, okay? Just so we know. And those of us north of Trenton recognize it as Taylor ham. Those south say it's pork roll, so we don't recognize this pork roll thing. But if that's the only concern Declan has,
I asked for clarification if
Yes.
Taylor ham was available on the menu, and he was just not acknowledging it.
all right, well, so listen, I'm going to be in Taylor. I'm going to be at Terminal A tomorrow. I will look around and see if Taylor ham pork roll exists. And if that's the biggest concern my dear friend, Senator Declan has, then he's doing okay in his district. But I will look into it because we all love Taylor ham up here.
He's calling for your resignation.
I love Declan. Good stuff.
That's my only question.
This is easy.
Larry, you have a tough act to follow there, pal, if you are on. But Larry, if we have you remotely, the floor is yours. Larry Higgs from NJ Advanced Media.
Larry, there?
Or have you been driven off?
Got hungry. There's a strong possibility. Just stand by one moment, please. No Larry? Okay. No Larry.
No Larry?
No Larry. Okay.
That's it? Nobody else?
All right. All right.
Colleen, you're the best.
I think I had.
Appreciate it.